Children, we are going to discuss about some of the most interesting developments, tragic developments too, of the 20th century. Before 1914, why do I say before 1914? 1914 saw the First World War. 1914 to 1918, the First World War broke out. 1939 to 1945, Second World War. So the 20th century saw two world wars. Both these world wars were tragic happenings. Lakhs and lakhs of people died in these wars, and lakhs of people got injured, wounded. So let's say 1914, before 1914, how was the world? What were the developments? What paved the way for the First World War? Why do we call it a world war? World war is one where many countries join the war. If there is a war between only 2 countries or 3 countries, you don't call it a world war. 20, 30, 40 countries in the world, they get together. Team A and Team B get formed, and there will be a big war. Then you call it as world war. The whole world gets affected by that war, not just 2 or 3 nations. So what was the situation prevailing then? Before 1914, Europe was absolutely on an imperialistic path. What do you mean by imperialism? Imperialism is a policy wherein you want to extend the territories of your country, boundaries of the country. You want to get spread out. What do? You go and attack other countries, declare wars on them. By hook or crook, you want your empire to get built up. This is what we call as the imperialistic attitude. So most of the countries in the world, they were on an imperialistic drive. The countries that were existent in Europe then, they were all powerful, militarily powerful. Why were they militarily powerful? Because their vision was to win over other countries, win over weaker nations, and expand your boundaries. England, it was an imperialist country. How do you say England was imperialistic? It attacked India. They made us suffer for about 300 years. So England was an imperialistic country then. Germany, another imperialistic force, a very powerful country. France was another powerful country. Italy, that was also powerful. Austro-Hungarian Empire. See, in the course of history, lots of new nations had sprung up and many nations had sunk. So the world map was changing again and again. There was no fixed world map as we have today almost. Today, you don't see many changes. As a watchdog, United Nations sits there to see that no country intrudes into another country, attacks another country. Rights of individual countries are protected. To check all these, we have a watchdog. And if necessary, it calls sessions and takes the needed action too. And Russia Russia was another imperialistic country. So Europe was flooded with all imperialistic forces. What else can you expect other than war now? If each country is selfish and wants to build up the empire, then what the world would see would be only a war. There is no question of peace. Okay, the world was imperialistic. Imperialistic forces were prevalent. Countries were strong militarily. Each one wanted to extend its empire, its boundaries. Second one, in Europe there were constant wars. Constant wars. Wars will be happening here, there, or in another boundary, debate over that, disputes over the boundary, they keep fighting. England and France, they went on 100 years war. They fought on a war for a period of 100 years. So there was constant war over the issue of establishing control over colonies. Most of the European countries had colonies all over the world. So there was competition as to who would get the maximum benefit of these colonies. So constant war. Third one, industrialization. About 200 years of industrialization in Europe had seen competition between one nation and the other. Each nation wanted to mint money, make wealth, expand its trade all over the world and earn. One thing, they have to get raw materials for the industries, increase production. Once the produce is there, the produce has to be sold. And from this angle, you have to compete with other countries, other industrial countries. So, virtually there was competition among all countries of Europe. So, new technologies were getting invented. They are trying to find out ways and means of producing goods swifter, at a faster rate, in an easier way, with less of manpower. So all these were a part of the entire game now. So competition, stringent competition. All these countries were trying to get control over the world market. They wanted to take control of the world market such that their producers get sold out to the maximum. Complex treaties with all these, what happened? Each country started entering into a complex treaty with another country. They themselves did not know where they were heading, but there was competition. When there is competition, there will be some understanding sometimes, and treaties have to be signed. The treaties will have lots of complex clauses. Whether they come into effect or not, that is a secondary question. So complex treaties, trying to trap the other country, push the other country to the nook. So this was a continuous effort between one country and the other among all the European countries. So complex treaties on one side, on the other side militarization. You do not know when the enemy would attack you. So you should be in a prepared state all the time. What do you mean by it? See that you build up, militarily you build up. More and more military vehicles, weapons, guns, bombs, soldiers, and get them highly skilled and get prepared to a situation where you may have to combat with another country. Then all these led to extreme nationalism. Too much of love of your country. You love and like your country at the expense of another country. Let other countries, let anything happen to them, you are not worried. But your country should be safe. You should be wealthy. You should be strong. You should be at the apex, controlling all the rest. This ambition made the countries get into alliances even. It's all confusion. You want to play it safe. So what do? You sign alliance with your enemy too sometimes. In case you engage in war, I will help you. If I get engaged in war, you help me. How far it is going to materialize, you do not know. But on paper, you sign treaties, alliances, team building. So this was the situation where the future of European countries was hanging. First World War, as I told you, broke in the year 1914. A 4 years war. First World War is of 4 years. Second World War was of 6 years. Easy to remember. 4 and 6. Two alliances got formed. We discussed just now. They formed alliances. When the World War got declared, each country wanted to play it safe. So Triple Entente was signed by mainly 3 countries: England, France and Russia. They got afraid of Germany. So they came together, Germany, Austro-Hungary and Italy. They were on one side. Austria-Hungary, Italy, Germany. That is Triple Alliance. On the other side, Triple Entente. That's England, France and Russia. Military alliance, it's military alliance. You come together and fight. Now here, what was the outcome? Outcome of the war was death and suffering. Nothing less than that. You put it in simple words, the war resulted in death and suffering for the humanity. USA was neutral in the beginning, but later on USA too joins. USA too comes and joins the Triple Entente. It joins England and France. What was the immediate cause? There will be 100 causes for a war to enlist. But there will be some immediate cause. What's that? You have to light the fire. The fire has to be lighted. For that some cause should be there. The first spark that lighted the fire and made it explode. So what was that immediate cause? The immediate cause was the assassination of Archduke Francis Ferdinand. He was the Prince of Austria. Prince of Austria, Archduke Francis Ferdinand, was assassinated. That assassination sparked off the First World War. There was a revolution in Russia at the same time. Revolution. Russia was getting ruled by Tsars, Tsar kings. Tsar, Tsar kings. They were very cruel kings. They never cared for the poor common man. They did not have that attachment with the common people at all. They led a luxurious life. But the people, their life was miserable. The masses led a miserable life. The Tsar kings, they led a very lavish and luxurious life. In 1917, On one side, First World War is going on. On the other side, there was revolution in Russia, 1917, in the month of November. So agreement, October, November, agreement with Germany to stop war. So Russia got forced to enter into an agreement with Germany. What's that agreement? I won't attack you and you don't attack me. As the war progresses, I will never attack your country. In the meanwhile, you should not attack me. It's a kind of mutual understanding. Russia too will be happy because it cannot combat with all the countries at a time. Russia gains time now because revolution, there was disturbance within the country. How will you combat an outsider now? So Russian revolution too added fuel to the fire. Fire is burning. If you take kerosene and pour it to that, or petrol and pour it to that, what happens? The fire will just burst out. The fire flame will fly to the sky. So the Russian Revolution made Russia and Germany enter into an agreement to stop war for the time being. There won't be any war between Russia and Germany. Now, 4 years war somehow comes to a close and Germany accepts defeat. The Triple Alliance, Italy, Germany and Austria-Hungary. The Triple Alliance, it suffers one of the worst defeats in the hands of Triple Entente. So that was the result of the war. Austria-Hungary, they lost. Here, Ottoman Empire, Turkey, Ottomans too suffered in this war. They too lost the war. There was a big wave of change all over Europe. All the countries were eminent and very strong, and some countries lose the war. They have to suffer now. They have to pay for all the losses. War indemnities will be put on them by countries that win. So there was a wave of change. The political map of Europe underwent a change. The political map of Europe underwent a change. Borders were redrawn. New countries came into existence. Some countries which were present there, they vanished. They went out of sight now. So many new small nations came into the fold. And many countries felt that there is a need for a world body to maintain world peace. If we continue fighting like this, there won't be an end to it. Let us have a world body where all the countries come together and they always work out for the peace of the world. So it came into the picture. League of Nations, it was named as League of Nations. League means team, group. All the countries have come together now for establishing peace and seeing that wars do not get fought. Prevent wars. Unless you prevent wars, how can there be peace? So you have to prevent wars and establish peace. So League of Nations, with the sole objective of seeing that world order gets maintained, came into the fold. It was formed in 1919. 1914 to 18 war. The very next year, League of Nations came into, it got formed. So war penalty on Germany. I told you war indemnity. Heavy fine was levied from Germany for the war that was fought. When Germany, an economically highly advanced country, it had to pay war indemnity, war fine. Other countries did not have a reason to enjoy because their economic situation was also bad. They might have won the war, But even the one who wins the war too would have economically lost. Yes, you have to fight such a global war, no? The economy of the country would have got a beating. Growth, now here, this economic growth suffered, it is said. There was no growth, not even zero growth, it was negative growth. You had to make up for all the losses during the war period. Negative growth. There was negative growth all over Europe. Countries suffered like anything. 100 lakh people got killed. 100 lakh. 200 lakh people got hurt and wounded. Wounded soldiers, 200 lakh. Dead people, 100 lakh. What a war. What a damage. What a beating. And the sufferings of Germany in the First World War was not taken in the right spirit by Germans. There was vengeance. Vengeance against those countries which had won the war. They wanted to hit back. They wanted to wait for that opportunity when they become strong and teach a lesson to those countries which had won the First World War. Now, in the meanwhile, let's see what happened in Russia. We only referred to Russia and we said revolution was there. What's that revolution in Russia? Unless you know everything, you can't build up a holistic viewpoint of entire Europe and things happening. Russia, as is now, then too, it was the biggest nation in the world. Biggest nation. From one side of Russia to the other side, from the western side to the eastern side, the distance was so much, there was a difference of 14 hours. 14 hours difference from east end to the west end. How big the nation is. So it covers more than half the globe. More than half the globe. Half the globe means 12 hours. 2 hours more. So it should be more than half the globe. Half the circumference of the globe. Russia was getting ruled by Tsars. 19th century, the Russian kings were Tsars. The Tsars, they were interested only in landlords. Their link was only with the landlords. Landlords, they controlled the laborers and farmers. Laborers and farmers did not have link with the Tsar kings. There was a wide gulf, and these landlords, they were exploiting people, exploiting, torturing. A slave, they were made into slaves. Farmers and workers were all slaves in Russia. That is what that exploitation gave room for all these new developments. People were fed up with the kings. People were fed up with the Tsars, with the landlords. Landlords and Tsars. On one side you have landlords and Tsars, on the other side you have the common people. So nationwide it is said, entire nation had been turned into a jail. People inside the jail and people outside jail, no difference. Everyone suffered. Suffered to the worst. So, authors say, writers say, it was a nationalistic jail. The entire country had been turned into a jail. 1905, the economy of Russia had turned to such a worst situation that Japan declares war on Russia and Russia gets beaten on the Eastern Front. Russia got defeated in the hands of a small nation like Japan. No doubt, Japan had developed industrially. Russia too had developed. This particular war makes it very clear as to what the situation was inside Russia. And the moment Russia suffered in the war, there was resistance against Tsars, against Tsar kings all over Russia. Everywhere people started hating Tsars. So far we thought you are only cruel. Now you can't win a war on a small island nation. What's the situation? So people, their anger on their Tsar kings, that just got blasted. Farmers and workers took guns and started fighting against the rulers. There was revolt, revolution all over the country. Cruel suppression of people. What did Tsar kings do? They killed people, massacred them. They did not have any regard for the common man. And the revolution was led by a very capable leader. He is called Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, V.I. Lenin. Lenin became the leader for all the rebels in Russia, for the common people. But Lenin too was declared a traitor. Tsars declared Lenin a traitor. He should be caught and hanged, they said. And Lenin had to leave the country and go away, go abroad. Otherwise he would be caught. Any moment he would be caught. So he leaves the country and goes out. Tsar Nicholas II, one of the Tsar kings too, he ran away from the country. The situation as such inside the nation was the worst. So February 1917, revolution they call it. When Tsar King Nicholas II ran away, people thought it is their victory. So February Revolution 1917, power was shared by moderates. Now most of the rebel leaders who had taken over, they were all moderates. We have learned, you know what is moderates with regard to the Indian history. Freedom struggle, moderates. They are cool-minded. They work out everything in a very systematic way. And in the Russian language, they are called as Mensheviks. Mensheviks. Mensheviks are moderates. So, in most of the pockets of Russia, the order, the control went into the hands of Mensheviks. Russia was declared republic by them. They declared Russia is a republic country now. It's a republic. No imperialist power has a hold on us. And as situation turned to normal, Lenin returned to Russia. The rebels invited him back. Because Nicholas has run away, no? So Lenin returns now, and the slogan was peace, let peace prevail, food, everyone should get the required food he requires to stay alive, and land. Almost all people, they did not have land at all. Land was in the hold of the landlords. Now that land has to be cut into small units and given to the farmers. Every farmer, every individual should have a piece of land. So that is a big change that Russia saw. Workers and farmers supported the revolution. Now the workers took over. Workers, they were angry at the Russian government. They took over. They are called as Bolsheviks. Mensheviks, Bolsheviks. Mensheviks are moderates. Bolsheviks compared to Mensheviks, they cried for blood. They cried for the blood of the rulers, party of the workers. This created the October Revolution. Within a few months, the country got prepared for another changeover. October Revolution, 1917. Lenin joined the Revolutionary Party. Lenin said, I agree with whatever you say. I stand and support your policy. So Lenin was unanimously accepted by all farmers and workers as their revolutionary head, revolutionary lead, he became the president of Russia, president of the Union of Soviet Russia. He became the president of this vast country. He turned to be the communist leader now. He declared that land belonged to the farmers. Land cannot belong to the landlords. Land belongs to the farmers. What we say in India, Uduvavane Holadodeya. The real farmer should own the land. No one can rule over them. So the country belongs to the farmers and workers. So free health, schooling, free schooling and residence for all. That became the turn of the day. The government said, free health for all. Then schooling. All the children should go to school. They should get the required education. Third one, everyone should have a house. To all Russians, these assurances were given by the new government. So Karl Marx's theory, communist theory, was initiated by Karl Marx. The theory was written down by Karl Marx. Lenin got it executed, Lenin and Stalin. The next one would be Stalin after Lenin. They got it executed. Karl Marx's scientific communities or communism, scientific communism came into the fore now. It got proved. Its essence was got proved. And Lenin dies just 7 years after the revolution. He did not last long. 1924, Lenin dies. Then comes Joseph Stalin. Stalin was another dictator. Lenin, he was busy in bringing Russia to some order, but Stalin wanted to set things right. Joseph Stalin, he was the president of the USSR and a big name all over the world. He wanted to make USSR the opponent of USA. USA was imperialistic, aristocratic. So Russia wanted to build up a strong force against America. The Cold War began now between Russia and America. Russia adopted 5-year plans to improve the country, to see that the country is progressive. Russia, Stalin went ahead with 5-year plans. Plan for 5 years, execute, and within those 5 years, you set the goals. And those goals have to be achieved in those 5 years and plan for next 5 years now. So stage by stage, Russia saw a lot of improvement. And it launched the first satellite. It succeeded in sending the first machine, space machine, into the orbit. America lagged behind. Russia was ahead of America. So people started believing communism is the answer for most of the problems of the world. Yuri Gagarin, he became the first astronaut to go in a satellite and go around the earth in a satellite. Yuri Gagarin. USSR led all the communist countries. Many small countries had emerged communist countries, and Russia became the head for all these countries. Powers opposing Russian Revolution. Some powers within the country, they started opposing as time, because it's all turn of events. History cannot be cool and quiet throughout. It cannot be unidirectional. It changes its direction always. You get fed up with the policy, you come out with a new policy. You feel that policy is date-barred, you move to the third policy. So it's evolutionary. Changes occur. Changes are natural. So Gorbachev, you have heard his name. Nikita Khrushchev and others, they came in between. Then in the 1980s, you see Gorbachev. He was a liberal leader. You had all communist leaders so far. Now within communism, you have a leader who is liberal, who started speaking of certain powers to be vested with the people. Independence within communism. So Gorbachev came out with the two policies. One was perestroika. The other one was glasnost. Glasnost and perestroika. These are Russian words. Now these have become popular everywhere. So USSR came out with two new policies. One was glasnost. Glasnost means make the country liberal. Give certain powers to the people. Don't get them throttled in the name of progress. Give them some liberty. That's glasnost. What is perestroika? Reorganizing. Don't stick on to the old policies. Things may have to change. You may have to bring about a transformation. So restructure, reorganize, openness. Let's be transparent. So that is called as perestroika. Gorbachev came out with glasnost and perestroika. With the liberty being given, Russia broke into fragments. Because so far, you had put all out pressure and kept everyone under the control of the state. When they got the liberty to speak and come out, Russia broke into a number of pieces. So USSR disintegrated and the actual communist philosophy collapsed. Now you don't see in Russia the communist philosophy of the Stalin's period, Lenin's period. Russia has got transformed a lot. So this is what we call democratization within communism. Elements of democracy entering into communism. We will stop here, and in the next video we will discuss about the new dictators who had emerged in the world. Thank you.